Bobby Torres of Frightbox Recording here to share with you my approach to drum editing while keeping them sounding nice and natural. Now, it seems like right now the cool thing online is to claim that drum editing is cheating and it's ruining music and it's, sucking the human feel out of music and it's wrong and it's, it's almost like it's sacrilege, right? But to me, this is absolutely ridiculous. Number one, we've been manipulating performances in the studio for decades, well before computers even came into play. And number two, it all comes down to the genre. For me personally, I have no opinion on whether or not drum editing is cheating or not. If I'm working on a grimy black metal project, no, I'm not gonna edit the drums. If I'm working on a gent project where the drums have to sound like they're, the Terminator played them, then obviously I'm gonna edit my drums. That's what the genre calls for. To, work on a gent project and claim, oh, drum editing is cheating, you're gonna end up with a mix that sounds like crap because the genre calls for super duper tight, inhumanly tight drums. That's just the genre. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. That's just the way it is. So to be mentally handicapped by this idea that drum editing is wrong is absolutely absurd. And in my opinion, you should not let these crazy claims get in the way of your productions, because any engineer that works professionally knows you have to do what you got to do to get the job done right. Now, like I was saying, for me, sometimes I record bands live where I don't edit anything. Sometimes I edit the living crap out of it where every little beat is 1000% on the grid. But more often than not, if I'm working with a great drummer with a great feel in a great band, I do a little bit of pocketing to get the drums sitting nice and tight, but I don't overdo it. And I'm gonna share with you my technique.
Okay, so here we are at my DAW. I have a simple drum track that I recently recorded. By the way, this punch point here is actually just a punch point. This is not an edit. We actually punched this in the studio. Now, like I previously mentioned, sometimes I won't touch the timing of the drum performance at all. Other times I'll edit the living crap out of it if the genre calls for it. But again, more often than not, if I'm working with a great band where the drummer has a great feel, I will simply just nudge the pieces of audio that need to be nudged just to keep them a little closer to the grid so the rest of the production can come along a little more easily. And what I mean by that is if I have to layer in any synths, some MIDI instrumentation or loops, it's just way simpler when everything is close to the grid. But again, just because you're nudging around audio closer to the grid does not mean you are sucking the feel out of the drummer if you do not overdo it, like I'm gonna do in this example. Now, I'm using Pro Tools, but you can utilize this approach in any DAW. In Pro Tools, I have to use something called nudge. In DAWs like Reaper, you can simply slip the audio within a region. But again, I'm using Pro Tools, and Pro Tools is old school, and I have to nudge the audio, which you could do in Logic. I'm pretty sure you could even utilize slip editing in Cubase. Correct me if I'm wrong. But either way, the concept is the same. You're simply nudging chunks of audio by small amounts just to get them slightly closer to the grid without, sucking the feel out of the drum track. So anyway, I'm going to play the track from the beginning. We'll listen to the drum performance, and we'll take it from there. So let's check this out from the very beginning. Okay, so very nice. This guy is actually a really tight drummer, plays with a great feel. Okay, but what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna turn the click on, and let's listen to these drums with the click track engaged. Let's check it out. Okay, so pretty good. I mean, he is very tight with the click, but I could hear in certain sections he's rushing the beat very slightly. Now, this may be a good thing. Maybe your production, you want a little bit of angst in certain sections of the songs where you want the drummer to push the beat slightly. For me, I want everything kind of uniform where it's, it's just pretty close to the grid lines, again, without it being overkill. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do, you're gonna wanna group your drum tracks. Whenever you edit drums, you want to treat your drum tracks as if they were a single, unified instrument. In other words, you don't wanna be moving around your kick on its own or your snare, because then you're gonna end up with phase problems, and it's just gonna get ugly pretty quick. So again, you wanna treat everything as if it's one instrument. And the way to do that is to group your tracks. So I'm gonna go to my mixer here. I'm gonna select everything from my kick all the way to my rooms, group. Now I'm making an edit group. When I say group, I do not mean mix group. Mix group would be when all the faders are kind of locked together. I'm talking about an edit group where whenever I make an edit, it's applying that exact same phase accurate edit across all of my tracks. So let's call this drums. So now, see if I make a selection, it's treating all of my drums as if they are one unit. I cannot stress enough. You do not want to start editing and realize, oh my God, I did not, group my tracks and now I have to start from scratch or I, screwed something up. Because again, you do not want to be moving kicks around separately or snares or overheads or anything like that. Okay, so before I edit anything, I'm going to show you what I mean by pushing the beat. So the tempo of this track was 180, okay? And if you look here, he starts dead on, right? Dead on. Yeah, this guy was good. Okay, but, he's human, and sometimes people push the beat. It's completely normal. He's pushing the beat a little here. Yeah, so that snare hits early. If you look here, right? That's early. His kick is early. So bunch of stuff is early, which is actually good because that's less work that I'm going to have to do because I could work in bigger chunks. So again, my goal here is not to lock every single little nook and cranny, 100% to the grid. I want to just simply nudge certain areas to be a little closer to the grid lines. Okay, so what I recommend is place your cursor somewhere before the timing occurs that you want to correct. Make an edit, right? So I just broke my audio right here. And then just skim along and see where the drummer starts to fall back onto the grid. And okay, and I can see mine right here. So this kick drum and that snare and these kicks and that snare are pretty close. So I don't want to touch those. I'm going to make another edit right here. So now this chunk of audio, my drummer is just a little too ahead of the click. And again, let me just reiterate, the reason why I know this is because I can actually see it. This is one of those examples where looking actually kind of helps. Now, people may say, especially someone that doesn't have experience, oh, you should be listening with your ears. Now, yes, you are correct. When you're listening to a naked drum track, that's just a simple click track, this is not bad. This is totally fine. But let's say I want to add some, some programmed, percussion, or I want to add a synth, or, I'm editing my guitars. Having this be ahead like this, and then my guitars being dead on, that's when I start to have problems. So I want to just get this slightly more close to the grid, okay? If that makes sense. If you have any questions about this at all, leave a comment in the comment section. I'll be happy to get back to you. But yes, again, I'm not looking to destroy this performance. I just want to get him a little tighter to the grid. So here we go. So I'm going to select this audio, bam, and my nudge is set to 10 milliseconds. So I just nudge the audio back 10 milliseconds. Now it looks like here, right around there, it needs to be nudged a little further, and that should be perfect. Okay, I'm going to drag this back because, and here's another thing. You don't want two snares like this happening, or two kicks, or two toms, or any double beats at all. You want to make sure all of that is kind of like squared away. So there are no double beats, and they're pretty easy to see when you're making basic edits like this. So now, all of this audio is pretty close to the grid. Yeah, it's perfect. Nice. And there's this next section, just by looking, yeah, he's a little ahead here. So starting from that kick drum right here, that kick drum. So I'm making an edit just right on that grid line, just breaking that audio. Let's keep looking. Yeah, all of this is a little ahead. So again, I'm going to select my audio here. And there was a natural edit here from the punch when I was tracking the band. So grab this audio, nudge back, nudge back, nudge back. That looks pretty good. And I know it will sound pretty good. Now, this snare hit is a little late for me sliding all of it back. So I'm going to just take this snare hit, make an edit, and move it back a smidge. Good. Okay, this is pretty early here. You can see this snare hit should be on the downbeat. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here. Very good. And maybe even here. Cool. And make sure that that kick drum is coming through. Good. Okay, very good. Yeah, it's a little ahead. Okay, the rest of it looks good. And I didn't need to make that edit right there. So again, this kick is a little ahead, this snare is a little ahead, but that's okay. I do not want them sounding like the Terminator's playing. This genre of music is just like a poppy, kind of like heavy rock band. I want tight production, but I still want the human characteristic to remain intact. Okay, so now I'm gonna play it again with the click track so we can hear how much this nudging actually helped the overall timing of the drums. Let's check it out. much better. Again, he still sounds like a human. You still hear the personality of the drummer shining through, but the timing is much more locked to the grid. So we're not done yet. Next, you need to apply fades to your edits because you will hear tons of clicks and pops if you simply edit and leave them as they are. So what you need to do is highlight all of your audio. This is universal in all DAWs. In Pro Tools, you hit Command F or Control F if you're on a PC. Okay, my fades are set to 5 milliseconds, which are more than long enough. I'd say anything between 5 and 15 milliseconds should do the trick. You don't want to go too long because then you'll start ending up with some double beats, dual snare hits, dual kick hits, dual tom hits, things like that. I keep it at 5 milliseconds. That's just kind of my go-to. So here we go. So now all of our fades are applied. So if you zoom in, yeah, so there should be no clicks and pops, and the performance should sound seamless. Let's check it out once more. I'll play it just from the middle here. Yeah, so all of these edits here no longer have clicks and pops. The fades have taken care of it. And now I can simply highlight my audio, consolidate it, and now I have a single file here, or single files, I should say, for all of my drum tracks. And I'm ready to start tracking my bass, my guitars, and then eventually mix the song. So yeah, I just wanted to make this video to show you that yes, you can edit drums without sucking the life and the feel out of them. Now, full disclosure, this technique will only work if you are dealing with a good drummer. If you're dealing with a drummer that's all over the place, he's ahead, he's behind, this will be a nightmare. In that case, you will have to take more extreme action by utilizing something like Beat Detective, and you will have to go in and fix every single, or at least almost every single beat. But again, this guy had a great feel, just a little bit of nudging did the trick, and I'm good to go. Again, if you have any questions at all, leave a question in the comment section below, and I will be happy to get back to you.
If you have found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And do not forget to click the little bell icon in order to be notified every time I upload one of my weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. You can both like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description below. And don't forget to download my quick EQ guide that contains all my EQ settings that I always return to when starting a mix. There is a link below within the video's description. Till next time, happy editing.